Hi, I'm Kimberly Baker, and welcome to the Soulful Self-Care Series. This series was created as a tool to support you in showing up fully for yourself, finding fulfillment, and creating your ideal life. My special guest joining me today is Anaiya Sophia. Anaiya is an independent mystic, Kundalini yoga teacher, and author of such books as Sacred Relationships, The Practice of Intimate Erotic Love. And I invited Anaiya here to speak with us as she and her partner, Pete, have so lovingly and openly shared their challenges and their journey when it comes to relationships and sexual intimacy and managing the ebb and flow of desire. So I'm super excited to speak with you today. And I know that you have so much wisdom to share around relationships and self-care. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Can you share, I know this is kind of a loaded question, but can you share a little bit about yourself and how you came to do this work?
Absolutely. Well, I am a 47-year-old British mystic living in the south of France, living in that sort of Cathar region, famous perhaps for where Mary Magdalene actually seeded her mystical feminine teachings. So this is why I'm living in this area. And relationship and sexuality and intimacy and really getting real is something that has always invoked my attention. Yeah. I was raised an only child, and so my inner world and my feeling state was the only thing I had to go on. As a kid, I was very shy. I didn't want to hang out with other children. And so, I began this journey. Who am I? What am I? And what can I become? And that just deepened and deepened and deepened as I grew older. So I went into the fashion industry. So that's where that sort of artistic, creative, fairy influence has come from. I've always been interested in beauty. Yeah. Not only just people, but places and animals, anything. Anything I can get my hands on and make beautiful. That was the first part of my life. So beautifying people out there. And I guess now I'm interested in the inner beauty and bringing it to the surface of that man, woman, child, animal.
You said something and I loved it, and I feel this way too. So you're a fashion designer in London, and that while you love to beautify people, you wanted their light to switch on.
Yes.
And for them to feel the beauty of what you saw.
Yes.
And do you think that was kind of where it started? Like, why was that important for you?
And it was more than that, Kimberly. I realized if I could create a certain look and put it on a certain person and play a certain bit of music, the audience would switch on. You know, when your little hairs stand to attention and you feel someone at your back. Yeah. I was playing around with energy like that in my 20s. I was like, 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. Wow. And I would love the feeling of the audience being transported into like another reality. But back then it wasn't so much spiritual experience. It was more like a creative, slightly shocking, slightly taboo, but not really, new reality where suddenly in that moment everything's possible. Everyone is switched on with like an artistic ecstasy.
I love it.
So even though I left fashion and sort of turned my back on it and went, that's completely fickle. There's nothing relatively true about this world. I still kept with me that ability to play with energy and to ignite the internal system.
And you touch on it because when I heard you say that, I thought, I feel the same way. That I love speaking to people, and that's what it is. There's a spark of possibility.
Yes.
That's the current of the energy where you can feel people's passion, people's excitement, and that's so to speak that like they've switched their light on.
Yep, exactly right. And so I took that tendency, because the next thing was a yoga teacher. I became a Kundalini yoga teacher, and I took that tendency into the yoga classes. So the yoga classes always had this spirit of like rock and roll, and oh my God, she plays amazing music, and we all just go on this big dance together.
Yeah.
I still loved that part of life.
And how did you come to Kundalini yoga? You had spoken in one of your videos that there was a time in the fashion industry where everyone was taking Prozac.
Yes.
It was just like
yes, the 90s. Welcome to the 90s.
And that you had decided to do yoga, or that was something that you were able
Yes, but there's a little piece that's missing. I was 28. 28 is famous for this period called the Saturn's return. So 28 is usually 27, 28, 29 years old. Usually we all get an encounter with reality that sort of like bitch slaps us into seeing what we've actually been doing. And so I did have a little brush up against the law, to be honest.
Yeah.
I got caught for doing something. And because I was a yoga student, and I was starting to realize the great importance of telling the truth and of keeping a very pure and clean life. So as soon as I got arrested, I kind of like confessed everything, which is exactly the right thing to do. Yeah. But it kind of escalated the case against me. And so I could have been crafty and got away with like a little minimal punishment. But because of the yoga, I just laid it all out on the table and went, "You've caught me red-handed." And so I had quite a sizable brush up against the law. And that was my major turning point. That is the moment I could have taken Prozac, but I didn't. I went through that initiation with yoga, with meditation, with prayer. And up until that point, Kimberly, I had been, in London, you call it a ducker and a diver. You see what you can get away with. Yeah. Money's a bit scarce. And so you're doing all sorts of things under the table in order to survive. And I got caught.
It is neat that the thing that was able to see you through it was actually in some ways what hung you up.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. The sharing and the vulnerability of let me lay it all out. Well, it like freed you on one end. It actually like in the physical realm completely trapped you or sort of led you that way.
Totally. And as I was going through this process, it was an 18-month process. And so the man who actually arrested me, he was like a CID, undercover police.
Okay.
We actually struck up a relationship. And all the people involved in the process, the barrister, my solicitor, and all these administrative people, because the case just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I was just getting in more and more and more shit, to be honest. Yeah. But I actually didn't care anymore because I'm so glad I got caught, because I knew this is it. This is the moment. This is when I really clean up my act. And by the time the actual court case was passed, all of these police officers turned up for the jury to actually see what the end result would be. They managed to like get a bit of time off. And I'm like, this is weird. And they were saying things like, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, mate. I'm really gunning for you. I hope you get good news.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at this situation going, what is this? These scary policemen.
Yeah.
They've swindled a bit of time off just to see. And it's not because they're gloating, oh, I hope she goes down. We'd had conversations. Yeah. I'd said things like, I've really prayed this morning. I'm hoping for the best. And they're like, me too.
And connection.
Yeah, totally.
So can you speak to the idea of initiation? Because I feel like there's been times in my life where through drastic change or struggle, I feel like I've been initiated into things. Yes, and it's something that our culture doesn't really speak to. Like, I feel like we don't really talk of it, the idea of like initiations. And that there's something even in coming into like a lot of reviewers are moms, into motherhood, that you're being initiated into something. And
Yeah,
sometimes it's not honored, it's just kind of like cast aside.
absolutely. Well, back in the day of tribal culture or community, the elders, the wise ones, knew that we required initiations along the path of life, whether it be puberty, our first bleeding cycle, motherhood, marriage. And so they were wise ones for exactly this reason. If they could approach the young one first before life, because life's going to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Life's going to initiate us anyway, because we're living in a world of cycles and patterns. But the wise ones knew it is best to educate the young one or the initiate, educate them first, and provide a real life situation before life does it. Because when life does it to us, we're not prepared. We haven't got a clue what's going on, and we'll probably try and wriggle out of it.
Yes.
And just suffer more because life is so going to have its way.
Yeah.
But back in the days of the tribe, we would be taken off and away and into the forest or into the cave or into the ocean and tutored with full initiatory energy. The experience is going to be realistic. It has to be realistic because our body, mind, heart, soul system has to believe it's real in order for us to take the quantum leap that the initiation always demands. So it's not going to be pleasant, but
Yes.
it's necessary, it's essential that we have these back in our life.
It's so interesting because I can see it now. And that in having those elders there, you would be able to derive meaning from it. Because sometimes
Yes.
it's so easy to say, well, I've just had like a string of bad luck, or
Yes.
all of this like shit happened to me. And I'm still wading my way through until you pop out the other side of it.
Yeah. And even though the elder isn't going to help you out, even if you cry out, enough, I surrender, they're not going to do anything. But deep inside of us, they would have tutored us to know we simply have to go through this. We have to endure this for all the right reasons. So even though they can't reach into the initiation and pull us out and go, there you go, here's a hot cup of tea.
Yeah.
They can't do that. But inside of us, we know they're still standing. They're going to be there on the other end of the experience. They're going to literally take us out into the light after the initiatory force has completed everything it needed to complete.
And it's the preparation.
Yeah, we know they're there really, but they won't cut short the experience.
I find it fascinating. So I want to share how this interview came to be, because it was kind of by divine coincidence. So we were friends on Facebook,
Yes.
and you had posted a photo of you recently getting married to Pete.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember this photo, but it was you were in a chapel and
Yes.
you were both kind of like kneeling, and the sunlight was coming down on your backs, and I just saw it caught my attention. I thought, what a perfect moment.
Yeah.
And it made my heart happy.
Yes.
And then I was scrolling along, I guess like maybe a week or maybe it was 2 weeks later. You know where I'm going. And Pete had a post saying, like reaching out, asking for advice of when you just no longer have that desire. When sexually you're just not coming together.
Absolutely.
And part of me inside of me went, oh no. And I think the part that's so attached to things like, oh no. And then the other part was so intrigued. And the more I watched your journey, even relieved, because it's something that I've experienced.
Yes.
Life gets busy when you're in a committed relationship. Like even for me, it's toddlers and kids. But my question for you is, how did you navigate your way through that journey? And you did it so openly, so like vulnerably.
Yeah. Well, Pete and I are very, very similar characters. We sense that the greatest gifts can not only be given, but found in relationship. We really do see this as being the alchemical hotbed of true and authentic growth, or softening, or humility, or becoming, whatever word we want to use. And so we're not afraid, well, we are, but we're not. We're not so afraid of the initiations in relationship. And for sure, this is one of ours. So in every relationship, there's going to be some really big episodes and chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, ours definitely seems to be falling again and again and again in the sexual department, which is so fascinating and so fabulous, because there's one part of me that really comes out into the world and says, beloved ladies, I've got some really good wisdom for you, you know, sacred body awakening, womb wisdom, all the feminine work that I've written about and talk about and share about. Yeah. So there's that part of me that's like, yay, I'm really good when it comes to this as an individual woman. That is absolutely true. But when this woman gets together with a man in reality who is so ready to go wherever life asks us to go, these two beings get a little bit like, not quite sure what we're supposed to be doing here. Because, you know, I'm 47, he's 55. We've lived long enough to know sex is fabulous. Mm-hmm. It's a great thing to do together. But we both know there's more. And all of the fabulous womanly stuff I've been sharing isn't enough to reveal more. Now, this might not be a general statement. This might just be for me and Pete. Yeah. And whatever Pete thought, I got it, I got the magic key. Yeah. It's not fitting. So we have this huge ambition, absolutely sincere ambition, to go further and deeper and into all sorts of uncomfortable places. But the post you saw was our moment of pause, where I have no energy for sex because, yes, a great activity, but it's like playing tennis. You run around a lot, sweat, huff and puff, and at the end of the day, you put your racket away and you leave the tennis court. And that was what you saw, that pause, that moment of, you know, scratching your head, waving your flag of surrender.
I love it because there's
things happening.
There's this, I don't know if it's a myth or this idea in society that if you are in a fulfilled relationship, that if you're meant to be together, that you're having sex all the time, that you just can't keep your hands off each other. And it's a very like fantasized infatuation place to come from, but still, like, I find it even it's in my psyche that there's this fear, like, what if we aren't connecting this way? Like, what does it mean? And I love that you say you're being initiated into something possibly deeper, and that it's the two of you coming together.
Yes. I do believe that there is a program, a pattern, a tendency, a something out there in society that keeps us all moving on, getting faster, change your house, change your car, change your partner, just keep on going. Whatever you do, don't stop and ask too many questions. And I think that is what that myth, that's where it's coming from. True love equals loads of sex, varied sex, you know, this endless desire for one another. You don't argue. You're just like, oh, more and more and more. But to me, that sounds like materialism. That sounds like it's the same thing. Get out there, shoppers, and just shop, shop, shop.
Yeah,
get your credit cards out. More, more, more. And of course, in reality, there are moments when it's not more and more and more.
Yes. And when you're coming from that place, I could see now you're not asking any questions. Because the default is just, oh, you're not having sex, it's time to move on. Or maybe you're not meant to be together, that you'll never get to that next layer of really figuring out the two of you coming together, or what this means versus this and this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so interesting that we're talking about this and it's going this direction, because one of the things that has waved its way through this series is the ability, like how important it is to be able to connect to yourself and to others in self-care. And that so often we're actually discouraged from true connection.
Yes.
In society, that it's like, don't, everything from like putting other people ahead of yourself. And I was even sharing with one of the speakers, when I gave birth to my son and my daughter, my both of them I had at home, but my son, it was just very relaxed. I was allowed to do whatever it was that I wanted to do. It was very much like almost unsupervised. And it was a beautiful experience. And after I gave birth to him, I realized, I had this moment where I thought, wow, if you really wanted to take a woman out of her power and disconnect a woman from herself, you would take this away from her. Because it was kind of that same like initiatory experience where, yes, it was difficult and it was hard, but that I had all this wisdom and this insight that I gained on the other side. And that so many times in society, it feels like we're kind of discouraged from connecting to ourselves on a deeper level.
Yes.
And it's kind of that same message. So if you're in a relationship and you're hitting that point where you feel like, or maybe you're not coming together, what is your advice?
The first thing is communication. The absolute first thing is confession. I know that's a heavy Catholic word, but that's one of the greatest things to at least get something moving, is to absolutely sincerely dig deep and say, hey, beloved, I recognize we're not having sex anymore. I think we need to have a conversation about this. Now, of course, this conversation is so loaded, so full of booby traps and trick wires and rabbits in hats. So you have to navigate really carefully, because in any moment, one of you could be struck so deep in your Achilles heel, your soft spot, your soft center.
Yeah.
Maybe even like a little prayer before you start speaking. And do your utmost not to blame the other one, not to blame yourself.
Yeah, and I think we place meaning on it that is false, like untrue meaning. Like when I saw that post and there was part of me that was like, oh no.
Yes.
Oh no, like what if they're not meant to, or what if it means this and it means that?
Yes.
And to not be so, I think it's sometimes too like you want answers for everything. And you want them like right away, and you want it to be clean and neat and immediate. That in searching, I know that's sort of where I've been booby trapped before, in searching for like, well, why is this happening?
Yes. And there's so many shadows like haunting the periphery of this subject. One of my shadows was, well, if I'm not going to have sex with him, he's going to find someone else.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a baby from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And that was it. That's the time of Fatal Attraction and all of those movies, Glenn Close.
Yeah.
I was brought up on that stuff. If it's not me, it's going to be someone else.
Yeah.
And I could have kept quiet on that, because that's a terrible shadow and a terrible fear to admit. But I'm like, I'm gonna announce this one.
Yeah.
I'm afraid you're going to find someone else. And of course, another initiatory place I'm in at the moment is menopause. So, hormones are flying or not flying all over the place. It's a very tumultuous place. We were speaking last week about menopause and motherhood. Feels like they're very similar places.
Yeah, and it seems to be, people acknowledge it, but they don't. Like you have a child, and for like 9-10 months, your body is literally growing it with, and there's an entire hormonal cascade, a symphony that is happening to like grow hair and toes and all of those things. And then you give birth to this baby, and 6 weeks later, there's this expectation, or I don't know if it's falsely or where it comes from, but this expectation that you're going to feel exactly the way you did prior to this in your body,
Not
and that you're going to
possible.
feel it like that. It'll be. I remember thinking, well, it's been 2 weeks.
Yes.
And even on like a physiological level, if you look at, like, I'm sure your liver has to filter out all of those hormones that you can't just. There's more going on.
Yes.
Surface.
Yes. My older friends are telling me, Anaiya, your whole brain is changing. Before menopause, I and all ladies were operating in such a way to attract.
Yes.
I need a mate. I need a mate. I need a baby. I am a flower. Hello, I'm a flower. Please come and pollinate me. During menopause, those hormones switch off. It's not about attracting a mate anymore. Now you're left with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I've experienced. Well, if I'm not attracting a mate anymore, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And this apparently is the great turning point. My older friends say to me, there will be a moment where everything just slows right down into silence, and you'll be there for a while, and then you reanimate. And your great gift is usually out there for the world, some kind of conservation, some kind of greater teaching or wisdom. And of course, if you look at ladies in their 50s and 60s, a lot of them have done exactly that. The empty nest syndrome has passed. The kids have gone off to university. She's ground to a halt, and then boom, she's back again.
Yeah.
And now the message is really authentic.
I love that. And it's so powerful because I've experienced it with motherhood, in that you're kind of juggling. You have this newborn, you're figuring out who you are. Everything has changed. And then there is this moment where you kind of get your ground, and whoop, now you have so many other skills and wisdom that you did not have before, that you could not have gotten any other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, like I don't mean to keep going back to society, but what a powerful thing to experience.
Yes.
And that you see so much marketing that is sort of, I feel like it's telling us to fear aging, to fear moving in that direction, that you want to live forever in your 20s, which I can't imagine anything actually worse than never developing, never getting to grow, and just staying in that very narrow range.
Yes.
But we're marketed to that way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I have spoken to and hung out with and lived alongside that younger community, the younger community on Facebook, the ones we would call the goddesses, or the young Californian crowd, very slim, playing their guitar, satsang. Now, I've lived with those people, Kimberly, and they are experiencing absolutely the same things that we're speaking of now.
I remember you telling me that, and I thought, no. Isn't it these very young women are not interested?
All is not what it appears to be.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think we are radically shifting with consciousness. And I'm going to come back to that. But this consciousness is literally turning in on itself and asking with such a vigor, what is real, actually, truly? What is real? What am I serving? How am I growing? Why am I growing? All of these fabulous new consciousness questions are turning back towards the self. And we're rapidly expanding. The potential there is to rapidly expand.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say is Pete and I we're doing the shadow course at the moment with Andrew Harvey and Caroline Mice. So we're really delving into personal and collective shadow. And they're saying a very, very similar thing. We really are in this moment of possible apocalyptic meltdown. We possibly are. Every shadow ever is here and is available. And with that comes the grace of true and authentic beingness. So it's like a light and the dark power struggle. But the truth of reality is they are happily interlinked and interwoven together. The light and the dark don't see themselves as problems.
Mm-hmm.
We're the one who sees them as problems. So yes, the great shadows are here of all of our selfishness and our vanity and our, I'm great.
Yeah.
And all of the potential to be humble and vulnerable and authentic and transparent. So it's this wonderful
It's
evolutionary
fascinating.
shift. And of course it's going to strike hard into the realm of sexuality.
Yeah.
Of course it is. This is the world of relationships and home and family. This is the core of our being.
And connection. So I would imagine that if you're literally shifting these things inside of yourself, if as a society, a collective, we are shifting and all this stuff is coming to the surface. The same way in the beginning you were saying, I'm independently as a woman, I have all these things in the bag. I know this, but that when I bring it together with someone else, it takes a while of like meshing or figuring out where that stands.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I find this so fascinating. If for the woman who wants to know more about her shadow self and just even learning, like connecting with her partner, what do you recommend?
Well, a great place to start, I would say, is Caroline Myss, actually. She talks very much about 12 archetypes. We all have 12 archetypes, 12 patterns, 12 very strong and easily identifiable patterns. Like if me and you were really, really close friends, I would know with a beautiful smile upon my face your 12 archetypes. And you would easily be able to spot mine. And that's how we find out. We ask the ones who love us.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, Dad, what's my shadow like? And how does it run? Okay, thank you. They'll be so easily able to tell us. And then when you know your 12 archetypes and you know the archetypes of your pattern, of your partner, then you'll be able to figure out from her books, from her great study, the shadows that go with them.
The other side.
And then you can have a fabulous and comfortable and easy conversation because no one's pointing fingers at anybody.
Yes.
It's like a game. You're getting your little 12 archetypes out. These are my 12. What do you reckon? Queen? Yeah. Messiah? Yeah. And then you don't have to hide anymore.
Yeah, because there's a weight that's taken off. My partner jokes, when we met, he called me full disclosure because I would just like, blah, blah, and I felt that it was like, I just wanted you to know because I don't have to carry it around.
Yes, exactly.
And it's funny with the archetypes, you ask someone else, because I feel like it's difficult to see it sometimes in ourselves, but that I can very easily see it, even if a little bit is with judgment, in other people or the people I'm close to.
Yes. Yes. And apparently all of us have these 4, all of us. And these are yucky. The saboteur.
Yeah.
The prostitute. The wounded child.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? The victim. Every single one of us will have those 4 and 8 others, a total of 12.
Okay. And where do they come from? Like, I know I get that she's, they're ideas, they're not tangible, but do you know how she created it or where they came from?
This is a very, very old system, much, much older. It could even go back to ancient Greece. These patterns, they're not just ideas. They really are energies that come in. I can feel them. Oh, yeah, it's like getting into costume. You suddenly go, oh, I'm in an archetype right now. Because it comes with an appearance. It comes even with movement in the body. The whole persona slightly shifts. You're kind of play acting.
Yeah.
You can just about sniff it. I mean, the other one can really see.
Yeah. Well, and you can get the other match because of the other person.
That's right.
Whatever is subtle to you is like exploding in their face. But I see it even with my children, they're toddlers, that when someone's about to have a meltdown, that they're triggered, there's sometimes like the victim, like I've been done wrong, or when they talk about the prostitute archetype, from my understanding, it's kind of the idea of like, I'm going to trade this piece of myself, or I have this thing to barter, not necessarily anything to do with sex.
That's right.
Or like the martyr of, I've been done wrong and I do everything for the family. And that one actually I totally resonate with. It's a big mom one.
Yes.
So the idea then is not to like, how do you step out of them, or you don't? It's just knowing that.
Well, if you're on a solo journey, you will get that feeling of, like I was saying, you're putting on a costume. Like, here we go. Oh, here comes an archetype. That in that moment, you do have a mini choice.
Yeah.
It's not very long, but it's a mini choice. And you could, of course, just breathe and feel yourself just pulling back to true self, and just coming out of the energy, and just do something completely different. Get up and walk out the room, or go upstairs, or open up a book and read it, even if you don't want to. Just do something. Stop the pattern, change it, go in the opposite direction. But of course, if you're with a partner who knows you well, he or she will just say, you're getting your savior archetype on. Are you aware that you're in savior right now? Which can be red rag to the bull.
Yeah.
Because, I'm quite fond of playing that archetype.
Yeah.
I have no problem.
Yeah.
But if I really want the authentic journey, I'm not an archetype.
Yes.
I'm a being. I'm a possibly a light soul having a human experience.
Oh, you cut out.
Kind of invisible hand.
And I would think too that if you feel like, sometimes there's people that you do dances with.
Yes.
In the sense that you're oftentimes like relatives, where you're like, I don't know why we're going down this path again, or the same conversation, but it's happening again, that dance.
Yes.
And it doesn't really feel very empowering. And I'm pretty sure I know exactly where this is going to go. But us speaking about archetypes, I would imagine that there's a lot of that at play, if you're experiencing that.
Yes. Apparently 72 notable and distinguishable archetypes are available 24/7 to all of us humans.
Oh, it's so neat.
Yeah. I mean, you can have great fun. You can have dinner parties and festivals and 5 rhythms, dance celebrations, totally consciously working the archetypes. So there's a great way we can use them, especially if we're a bit shy of them. Like, oh, I don't want to play the seductress. Why not? It's an archetype.
Yeah.
The shy ladies. No, yes. So, steps and stages along the path. This is great work. But to really get through the eye of the needle, to really make it all the way into the lap of God, true beingness.
Yeah.
There's no archetypes. You've surrendered.
And having that awareness that and I think that's it, that it gives you an awareness when it's happening, to know that you can kind of let go if you don't want to get tangled up in that web.
Yes. We've always got our breath. To me, the breath is the really powerful tool to disengage with something, whether it's a shadow, an archetype, a manipulation. Someone's doing a little manipulation on you, you sense it. Okay, I'm stepping out of this.
Yeah, just to ground yourself and bring yourself back.
Yeah.
So for all of these lovely ladies we're all on this journey really together, whatever stage you're at, do you have anything that you would want them to know? So for like you're speaking to going into menopause, in whatever stage you're at, is there anything that you want to lead them with, or you want them to know?
Yes. I feel that women or maybe the feminine. I haven't quite really found the truth of that statement yet. So I'm just going to go with women, because that's something I can stand behind. I believe women and girls have a unique relationship with nature, with that beautiful green tangled mess out there and all of the animal kingdom and all of the elements. And so I would say to us ladies, what is the nature of our relationship with nature? How much are we investing? Because there's that wonderful statement by the Dalai Lama he made maybe about 10 years ago, that apparently Western woman's going to save the world.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. I can't help feeling that nature and her custodianship, her guardianship of nature is going to play a huge piece in this. You know, when I first heard that statement, Western woman's going to save the world, I was like, yay, politics. We're going to have a female president or a female prime minister. I thought the world of humans. Now I'm changing my position. Western woman's going to save the world. I think that actually means planet. I really, really, really do. And I think all of us ladies, we've got something inside of us that can save the world. And maybe it's our own little world, our own little garden, our own little region. We have something. We can unite with nature. We already have this great love affair with nature in our hearts anyway. Every woman knows that. I think that's going to be the next piece of the puzzle. I think there's going to be, you know, as there is this race out there,
yeah,
you know, for potential war, potential global, whatever it is, us ladies are going to be beautifully forced to pull something up and out of us and unite absolutely with nature.
It's fascinating.
So that's a little bit of a mystical thing. I haven't got any idea what I've just said. It's sort of intelligent and sort of not.
Yeah, but I see it happening already with women coming to the forefront in different movements.
Yes.
Like with the Dakota Pipeline Access and the water bears, there was a lot of women that were on the forefront,
yes,
rallying and passionately creating that movement.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly it. We saw something there with Standing Rock.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was the beginning of something. Let there be many, 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 many more invitations where we can just come together like that.
Yeah. And honoring your, whatever it is, your little piece that you have inside of you.
That's right. That's right.
I thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you. I could speak to you all day.
Me too.
Thank you so much for taking the time today. And you have a free gift, which is
that's absolutely right. The free gift I'd love to share with everybody is called the Sacred Divorce Ceremony. And that's not quite what it sounds. So I do these things called transmissions, which is where I use the voice to take people on a deep journey into their deep, deep, deep place. And so the Sacred Divorce Ceremony is something the two of you can do together in relationship, or someone who's on the individual path at the moment, but know that they're still to someone or something or some time. They haven't quite let go of something. So it's an inner work, it's an inner alchemical process where the two of you or the one of you confess with great good pride, so the good pride, not the gloaty one, with great pride. You know what? I have showed up in this way, and I've showed up in this way, and I really showed up in this way. You know, you're claiming the ways you did show up. And then once you have your light, then you confess the ways that you didn't. You calm with this gorgeous humility. Like I really did want to listen.
Yeah.
But actually I didn't most of the time. I really did want to love you with the whole of my body. But there were times when I simply wasn't able to. And so the pair of you, or the one of you, has this gorgeous confessional piece. Now, what that does, that level of humility can totally resurrect a relationship. Because you're seeing and hearing the humility in the other one, and your heart just opens right up and goes, oh my God, there's plenty of life left in this relationship. Or it really is the end of the day, the completion phase.
Yeah.
But you just really love this person. The resentments have been totally melted down by the power of love.
Yeah.
So if it is time to go your separate ways, you give your last embrace and you flipping mean it. I wish you well. We have had an amazing relationship. And strangely, it's the end. But I love you, man. I love you. And may the next one take you both to the next level. And you mean it. Or you look at each other and you go, oh, hell, we got more to go, beloved.
We're still good. So it's amazing. I can't wait to do it.
I thought when I got the understanding, oh, this is some kind of shamanic tie cutting process.
Yeah.
So I allowed myself to just speak, and it opened up into a realm I was not aware of. And I was actually speaking it in tears because it's a live recording. I was like, wow, this is exquisite. This is so beautiful.
Fascinating. I can't wait.
Yay. I think I need to do it again. I do.
I know. Really, this
like every week.
Really, this is like part of when we're saying, okay, what's the next step? This. Do this, especially for coming together, because you'll be able to have that clarity. And when you first said the divorce ceremony, I was kind of like, oh, but like, what if you're not getting a divorce? But I understand that really it's that like letting go of past ties and kind of so you're not constantly doing that struggle.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, you'll be able to find the link to that below this video. And Anaiya, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for birthing this moment for us both.
Yes.
Another baby.
I know. Yeah, this is it. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, and blessings on your journey of motherhood.
Oh,
huge blessings.
Thank you.